We are back.
We're back. Welcome to our OnlyFans.
We are back, and today we are talking about RoboTaxis.
Oh, this is happening fast. I mean, RoboTaxis, driverless cars, was something that as kids we'd hear over and over. This is what the future would be like. And then one day it's just like, here.
That's it. This is the year. 2026. Yeah. This next year is a big year for RoboTaxis. We'll review over some statistics on the current RoboTaxi players. Then we'll review over some of the market benchmarks and where the projections are for RoboTaxis and the business case behind that. And then we'll review over some of the safety risk regulations and also provide some conclusions and predictions because, as our listeners know, we can predict the future.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. It's just nice that we have a platform to be able to give back with this special ability.
We are what we call precognitives. We are always right about predicting the future.
Yeah.
We were a little wrong on Dogecoin, but other than that,
just wait. It's happening.
Boy, so RoboTaxis, where do we stand currently? So the big players right now in the RoboTaxi race, which is a multi-billion-dollar race here with projected huge growth, is going to be Waymo, whose parent company is Alphabet, which is Google, and they are leading the charge. Then you also have Tesla with the cyber taxi, which is trailing behind it. And then some other players like Amazon has a product called Zoox. We don't know too much about, but they're rolling out as a pilot. And then there was Cruise, which was a GM focus. And there might be some other small players, but those seem to be the main players. Nick, have you been in a Waymo? Have you been in a cyber taxi? What's been your experience so far?
I have definitely been in a Waymo. I've not been in a cyber taxi yet, although I would love to be, but I'm in San Francisco. There aren't any here. There are some in Austin, right? I was surprised when the first time I got in a Waymo. Yes, I knew what to expect, right? Kind of nice. You know, you get into an Uber, you're in someone else's space, right? You get into a Waymo. It's a nice car. And they've got this kind of like spa music when you get in there. Nice little, hi, welcome, Nick. And then the driving, I was surprised by. That's what surprised me the most, is it felt pretty human, but like an ideal human driver. It wasn't jolted, robotic. It wasn't overly cautious either. It got the job done really well. Now, it still takes kind of slower routes sometimes, so you do need to budget a little bit more time when you take them, but it's like inarguably better than Uber, right? And they're at market rate. So over time, the price may be cheaper. Often it's much cheaper than Uber.
That's right. So Waymo, you can get through the Uber app in Austin, in San Francisco, and maybe in Phoenix and Los Angeles. Sometimes it's not always clear how available they are. You can't select it in Austin as an option. It just shows up instead of an Uber X, and it is the same price as an Uber X, I believe, at this point. So it's a little confusing. But to your point, the experience of riding in a Waymo seems to be superior to the experience of riding in a driver Uber. Like, people just seem to like it better. You can select the music. It's a little nicer. I would say there's probably maybe a little drawbacks. I think the pickup process is a little less convenient with the driverless Waymos than with the driver Uber.
That part I've actually found to be better. It's reliable. You know what to expect. With a human, there's just more things not to expect. Although, I mean, maybe your point is that you have to walk a couple blocks sometimes.
Yep.
Right?
You have to walk.
So that may be the case, right?
Sometimes when I get an Uber, I walk and they're like a block or two down. I wave my phone and they come and they realize where I are. With the Waymo, you're going to walk to where it is, which is it's just part of the deal.
They are restricted by where they can go. Like, not heavily, but there are only certain spots they can park at and only certain roads they can go down. One thing that I find nice about Waymo, because it will take kind of a route that maybe not ideal, you can just let loose, let the expletives fly when you're really pissed about its route without the fear of hurting someone's feelings, right? Can't really do that in Uber. You got to be polite. But you can just yell at that stupid RoboTaxi. It's nice to get out some of that frustration sometimes.
It definitely is. Now, here are some surprising statistics about autonomous vehicles that I think will surprise you and the audience, Nick.
What do we got?
Okay. Autonomous vehicles have more total crashes but less severe crashes than driving with humans. So let me say that again.
Interesting. Okay.
Autonomous vehicles have more crashes but are less severe than crashes with human drivers. So self-driving cars have been involved in more crashes per million, which is about 9.1, I think, compared to human driving vehicles, which is 4.1. So it's surprising because you would think, okay, autonomous vehicles are safer, which they are from a severe injury standpoint. However, there tends to be very cautious. Autonomous vehicles tend to be very cautious, which leads to a lot more low speed rear end collision. And usually it's also by impatient human drivers that are behind them.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
although they are involved in the crashes, it's not typically that vehicle's fault. It's typically another human driver who wants to drive more aggressively and then hits the back of an autonomous vehicle.
Interesting. And, I mean, it's going to be hard to get apples for apples numbers on all these things, because if it's a robo-taxi, that company, Waymo, whatever company, they need to report that. Human accidents are not always reported. You get out, you kind of sort it out with the guy. Hey, I hit your bumper, but I don't see it. There's nothing there, whatever. Both drive off, right? Or you pay cash to fix it. And it's just not reported, right? But a Waymo, those companies have to report those things. Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe the most important thing here, though, is we can talk about what's better, what's safer. We know one has an opportunity to get way better. Human drivers that is fixed, right?
That is.
It's not getting any better.
So although they're involved in more crashes, the fault typically is about 94% of the time is the fault of other human drivers hitting it.
94%?
Yes.
Oh, then this makes these numbers ridiculous.
I guess so, right? I guess so. And the other really surprising fact, so autonomous vehicles have a 10x lower fatality rate than human-driven vehicles. So
Wow.
in controlled environments, when they're looking at serious injury crashes like fully autonomous vehicles like Waymo have shown a 10-fold lower fatality compared to human drivers.
Now, do you think that's because they are mostly on city streets and not on freeways?
That's a good point. That's a good point. They are mostly in city streets. I don't know if they operate on many freeways. I don't know if I've been on a Waymo on a freeway. I'm trying to think. I've only been on a Waymo maybe 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
It could be because they're just going at lower speeds.
Yeah. I didn't realize till we talked through it here, kind of how hard it's going to be to kind of nail down the answer on which one is safer, right? There's just kind of a lot of corner cases that may skew the results. But like we just said, it's going to get better. The driverless cars are going to get better. Human drivers are not.
No, they're not. And humans need to get better at riding with full self-driving cars. So if you are driving, and I own a Tesla, I have full self-driving, I've experienced this. You have to really trust the full self-drive, and at times you can panic and disengage it, and that actually might cause the crash. But
yeah,
part of that is the human reaction time to that, but part of it also is that the autonomous vehicles need to be communicated and interfaced in such a way that the humans don't panic and disengage and
Do you feel different when, let's say, you're crossing the street or you're driving a car and you see a Waymo? Do you find yourself behaving differently with a Waymo versus a human driver?
If I'm crossing the street as a pedestrian and I see a Waymo pulling to basically wait for me to cross, I think I'm at the point where I'm more comfortable now than a human driver,
which is kind of funny
because I know it will see me. I know it will see me.
But it's not going to hit you and drive off.
No, but the public perception is not quite there for autonomous vehicles.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Approximately 66% of U.S. drivers express fear about riding in a fully autonomous self-driving vehicle. So there's a lot of the population that's still not convinced or comfortable with riding in Waymos.
Yeah. Man, they said the same thing about Uber. Why would I get in a car with a stranger? What you do with a taxi?
I think we'll get there eventually.
I think you're right.
There will be, we are expecting exponential growth with the RoboTaxi, the autonomous vehicles. And that will be something that that these companies will need to address and really comfort the general public that you are safe in these vehicles.
Interesting.
Because
it's hard with, media loves to tear down tech companies now, and they'll skew any result and put any headline out there, and it will scare the public away from this.
other problem the other problem to that point the public has is that, and this is somewhat Tesla's fault, is that a lot of the public, so 4 in 10 drivers believe they can already buy a car that drives itself while they sleep, which would be level 5 autonomy, which you cannot do.
That's not true.
You cannot do that. I
No.
have Tesla full self-drive. I've taken it on many road trips. It is not level 5. Okay.
It's quite a name, full self-drive. It is not there yet.
Yeah. Tesla likes to get very aggressive with their marketing, but that's also a problem with the public because people will put a full Tesla in full self-drive mode, and might try and cheat the sensors and have it driving completely autonomously when it's only at level 2, level 3 right now.
You
and
mean
not
cheat the
level 5.
sensors that are watching you as a driver to make sure you're attentive?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So we are currently not there with full self-drive where you can just fall asleep and let the car drive you. With Tesla, Waymo is level 4. So out of all the levels, level 2 is, I think, like a general or assisted driving, which they technically have Tesla Autopilot there, although Tesla is really more level 3, which is like more conditional. And then level 4 is where Waymo is, which is autonomous with some monitoring. And Waymo is leading the race here. Not quite there, though. I mean, the other problems that these autonomous vehicles have, a lot of the autonomous vehicles have problems at dusk and at dawn with lighting. So autonomous vehicles are 5 times more likely to be involved in an accident at dawn or dusk compared to human drivers.
Interesting.
So while they can see better than humans in complete darkness, like using LiDAR or radar, the low sun angles and shadows can glare on the cameras and instruments and create kind of periods that confuse the car's visuals.
Interesting. I mean, it makes sense.
I don't know if you've ever experienced this in your Tesla. I have, where full self-drive, I'll be driving at sunset and I'll get direct, really low sunlight that hits the cameras. And then all of a sudden my car will start beeping and say, take over control. Like it just loses, it'll lose the vision.
I mean, that's scary. That's dangerous too. Like you can't just, if you're not ready for it to switch over to driving, if you've been kind of daydreaming, that's kind of a dangerous situation that you're put in,
It is. I wonder with these pilots if Waymos are they operating at night? I don't know if I see as many around at night.
I think they operate at night.
I think
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have LiDAR as well.
They do have the LiDAR. That isn't it's I don't know how they're going to solve that problem. I mean, we are in the early days. Of course, there's going to be problems like that, but hopefully they solve it. And I think I am hopeful they're going to solve it because there is a lot of money on the line here, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, there really is.
So from an economic standpoint, the estimated annual gains from the United States for widespread autonomous vehicle adoption could reach nearly $1 trillion. So
wow.
A lot of these gains come from not just a new industry and revenue, but savings due to reduction in crashes and increase in productivity from commuters who can basically work from their cars.
Interesting. Yeah, really. You get that time back.
In a way, you would get that time back. It could be an autonomous bus you could be working on. It could be your own autonomous vehicle. You could be working while driving or doing other multitask things.
One way people are getting that time back is what I've heard is that parents are now using Waymo where they didn't use Uber before to take their kids.
That is such a big use case and value to parents. I know they're not advertising that because I think it's probably a bit risky for these companies to advertise that. But man, I mean, if you could have robots take your kids to school and not have to drive your kids to school, that would really free your mornings up and afternoon. Like it would be a huge benefit to parents.
Huge. Right.
So more to come on that. No one's advertising that use case. So can you do that right now?
I don't even know if it's allowed.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if you can.
Like people do it, but I don't know if they have to say it's me in the vehicle, right? Or the kid is logged into the parent's account. I don't really know, but it's being done.
So the other big benefit we're going to see with RoboTaxis is potentially an 88% reduction in wait time for taxis or Ubers.
Interesting.
It'll just be there. Like you could even be in more remote places eventually once they expand, but you could just be there and get it and just move it because these things are going to be operating 24/7.
Interesting. And there'll be fewer of them on the road too, right? I mean, there'll be a lot on the road, but there'll be fewer cars total if there's really high utilization of these
Yeah,
things.
let's say 10 years down the line, we've got a million Tesla Cybercabs out there. Waymo's expanded to have perhaps a million or a million and a half or so on. At that point, you would not need to own a car in a lot of places. You could really operate probably on these things and save a substantial amount of money. In fact, there's one study that estimates that households could save about $5,600 per year through reducing cost of car ownership and just be taking robotaxis.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it is kind of, I mean, we will look back and think about how stupid it is that people buy these big hunks of metal that just sit around on the street or in their garage for most of the time. Like, how inefficient and stupid is that, right?
There's so many problems. It's probably the riskiest thing you do every day is hop in a car,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
especially at night,
Yeah. Yeah.
or and when it's raining. So robotaxis still have that problem. I think they're going to work to fix and innovate at that point. But this year is a big year because the projections are pretty big for this market. It's a big boom, my friend. I mean, the explosive growth that will come out of this is that the consensus on the expected compound annual growth rate often is about 70 to 90% through 2030 to 2035. So we're early. An industry that's got 70 to 90% projected growth, that's huge.
Interesting. I mean, it makes sense. It's not there yet. I mean, it's not fully actualized.
Nope.
It'll probably be more.
Nope. A lot of technology is going to need to advance to get there, but the market size for this is humongous. It's not just taxis, but it's also commercial freights and truck driving and things like that it could be applied to. We're focusing on the robotaxi use case right now. But man, they would be EV vehicles. It would be a reduction in pollution. People want this. People want
Yeah,
this
it's kind of
work.
funny that EV vehicles, right? Like, why do they have to be EVs? But I think all things considered, it makes the most sense cost wise, control wise. I think it's just a pain in the butt to have an autonomous vehicle that is controlling a gasoline engine and all the maintenance that goes with it. So they will be EVs.
That is a really good point, though. They could hypothetically be combustion engines. They could be
Of course.
gas.
Yeah.
None of them are at the
Right.
moment. There seems to be a variety of reasons why that is, but it makes sense. If this is going to be a future of cars, it would be electric. Now, the business case for these cars is really interesting. So they are substantially cheaper from an operating cost point of view. So I live in Austin. I was able to open the Tesla Cybercab app and I compared it to taking an Uber, and it was half the cost of an Uber X. The downside I had with the Tesla Cybercab app, it was a 30-minute wait. So I didn't end up taking it. I think everyone's downloading that app because it just came out and they're trying to use it, and there's limited actual Cybercabs. So it is substantially cheaper. It goes from about $1.50 to $2 cost per mile, which is a human driver, to projected cost of 30 cents to 50 cents for a fully scaled robotaxi. And that's covering electricity, maintenance, and depreciation. So
Wow.
a third, really, or less potentially. There is more upfront cost. I think the Waymos cost around $150,000 in upfront costs. There are a huge cost with R&D, developing the software for the autonomous vehicles. So it's a pretty big investment these companies are making to get a lower operating cost, and ultimately what they're thinking is going to be a better product. And I think what a lot of people are thinking it's a better product.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about this before that Tesla has this huge, huge advantage over Waymo and many others is they've already solved the mass production problem, right? By the, if Waymo figures everything out, which it seems like they still have a huge mountain to climb in getting these not only manufactured for a lower cost, but even being able to hit the volume that they would need, right? You can't just place a bulk order on Amazon for an autonomous car. Like, that takes a lot of work, a lot of money to set up the infrastructure to actually manufacture these things. Tesla's already figured that out. So if they unlock full self-driving, a Tesla that is, and it reaches the level or exceeds the level of Waymo, they've got a big advantage over the others. I hope they do.
Okay, let's break this down. Let's compare Waymo versus Tesla. in
Okay.
this race, because they're really the two players that are getting the most attention. Okay. Waymo is the leader at this place because they are at level 4 as far as autonomous vehicles. And they're in more cities at the current moment. They're going to be around 3 or 4 by the end of the year: Phoenix, SF, LA, Austin. Okay. So they're a little ahead at the moment. From a technology standpoint, they use LiDAR, radar, and cameras, where Tesla is camera only. And then from a mapping strategy, Waymo has like a detailed HD maps that are geofenced, and Tesla has what's called general vision, and it aims to drive anywhere a human can without relying on hyper detailed pre-mapping. Maps are used but not essential for core operation. Really interesting difference there. And then lastly, the one you just touched on is a vehicle strategy, where Waymo is like a fleet operator and it uses like production vehicles. They use Jaguar at the moment. I think they're going to be switching, but they do heavily rely upon vehicle manufacturers, where Tesla has the integrated manufacturing, right? They use their own vehicles, which are cheaper to outfit and integrate seamlessly with their software. So they definitely have the advantage on that last part.
Yeah.
The other parts, the technology stack, LiDAR versus vision only, um, I would think most people would probably give the advantage to Waymo on that.
Yeah. I mean, they're in market and working. I
They're
mean, I
in
guess
market.
Tesla barely is, but there's a lot to be said about that.
I mean, the Tesla, the vision only relies solely on cameras and massive neural network training. They're calling Tesla Vision. And the consensus among the public seems to be that it's not going to be as effective as LiDAR and radar, and a combination of LiDAR, radar, and cameras. I don't
It's a
know how they're going
way
to beat that.
harder problem. It's a way harder problem. It's not just the cameras either. You know, Waymos, they're a little bit like they're virtual trains. They're trains on virtual tracks, right? Where it's a very deterministic thing that they're doing compared to Tesla anyway. Basically, Teslas, with their approach, they need to have something about as smart as a human
Mhm.
driving that thing. Even though it's not like AI, like ChatGPT, that we're talking to it, it needs to understand human nature in a way that goes way beyond what Waymo needs to hit. When you're driving a car, you don't realize how much of your decision making is based on your understanding of other humans and what they may do and their motivations, right? And Teslas need to be basically sentient. I mean, specialized for driving, but it's kind of wild to think that we actually kind of need human level intelligence in these cars to be able to hit Tesla's goal. I mean, that's what they're driving toward, but I just wish they'd do it sooner. I wish they just add some LiDAR sensors and just get on the roads.
Well, if they are to pull it off, Nick, without LiDAR, if Tesla is to pull this off without LiDAR, they'd have a much lower hardware cost than
They
Waymo
would,
would.
and that's what they say. But man, just make the LiDAR sensors cheaper. Just dig in and do it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just lasers and cameras. Like, come on, Elon. Just you say LiDAR's too expensive, but like, just make it cheap then.
That could end up being what happens. Uh, another advantage that Tesla does have, though, that Waymo doesn't have, is they have a data engine. So Tesla has millions of customer vehicles that contribute to this
Yes.
data network, and it's been a powerful asset for training and improving the neural network. So you and I have full self-drive. It's gathering all this data to update its software for Tesla Vision. That is a pretty powerful advantage.
Seriously.
They have a lot more feedback they're getting to fine tune their model. And I'd probably argue that with the lower hardware costs and the data engine, they've got more scalability, also being a vehicle manufacturer.
They do.
So how Waymo is going to scale to 1 million vehicles with LiDAR, camera combinations, and partnership with the Jaguar could be really tough. They could run
Yeah.
into a lot more scaling problems than Tesla, where if Tesla gets basically the Tesla vision part right, of making these vehicles very functional without LiDAR, they could scale right away.
Yeah. Now, one advantage Waymo does have is it's backed by Google. So
There's no
if they do
shortage.
want to, if they do want to throw cash at this thing just to get market share, maybe they don't have to care about making or losing money as much as Tesla does, right?
No.
And
I mean,
so that can be a wild card.
Google could buy a car company.
Yeah.
could buy a large car manufacturer and just use it just for this sole purpose.
Right. Now, I would not compare that to Tesla and their vertical integration and car companies that are for sale. They're not going to be too up to date on their manufacturing processes, but totally. I mean, that's a giant wild card that Google could just like cheat its way to it with a bunch of cash or not caring about the unit economics in the short term anyway.
Now, Waymo has the advantage with the public perception of safety because they are more established. They do have more controls with their
They've done a great
vision.
job. Yeah.
If given the choice, well, that's another question. If given the choice to choose between a cybercab and a Waymo, and the cybercab is cheaper, I don't know. I think if are people going to value cost or safety more? I don't know. It's gonna, maybe both companies will succeed. That's another
I think
outcome.
people will have their strong opinions at first, and then they will do what their friends do. I think that's probably what it would come down to. People have, oh, Tesla, I heard they're not safe. I heard they crash. And then like someone that they think is cool or a girl they want to date, they find out uses Tesla all the time. They're like, well, I guess I actually heard it's pretty safe. I think that's actually how people are going to behave when it comes around this.
I think so. Accidents will happen. We're going to see how the public reacts.
Yeah.
That will be a big setback, especially if Tesla has an early accident with Tesla Vision. That'll really make the public question their commitment to camera-only approach rather than cameras and LiDAR. So that's another thing in the race. If Waymo has an accident too, Tesla could pull ahead. So they've got some
It's
real
gonna
risks.
happen.
It's going to happen.
I mean, these companies, they are prepared for that. That's not like they're crossing their fingers and hoping it never happens. It will happen. And certainly they have had many discussions internally about, you know, the messaging to put out around that. It's going to happen. It's going to be sad, right? But like, of course, come on. Like human car accidents happen all day, every day, you know?
They do.
You know, the goal should be to reduce overall accidents. But I don't know. People are irrational. They're mad at technology or AI. And so they'll kind of, you know, they'll be mad for whatever reason they can come up with.
There are also regulatory challenges. So there is fragmented laws between cities that allow autonomous vehicles. So it's not like they just can get, oh, we proved the case here in Austin, we proved in San Francisco, we can scale out throughout the US. No, it's like sort of a city by city thing. There are varying levels of kind of federal, state, and city regulations that they're going to have to fight and deal with. So like there are some friendly states, like actually Texas and Arizona are pretty friendly, but then California had a lot stricter laws. So it is got some regulatory hurdles. One of the biggest agencies is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And then there's other local public utility commissions that grant permission and then demand data from this. So they're going to perhaps be slowed down by regulatory agents as well. And then if you put the combination of public perception or some pushback there with some political pushback too, it could slow things down a lot, right?
Yeah, really.
Regulations come out.
Really.
I don't know if you remember back, but I think it was 9 years ago or so, Austin voted to have Uber driver mandatory background checks with ID.
Yes, that's right.
It took everyone by surprise that we at Austin voted on this, and then Uber just said, we're not doing it, and just left the area. And then we were like, we're stuck with like very bad ride sharing options that were very expensive. And then they just waited it out, and then a year came, they lobbied against it, and then we all voted to bring it back.
I mean, in Uber's case and in Lyft's case, they both left. They got an opportunity to set precedent, right? Where, okay, you know, Austin, you want to play tough? All right, we're going to leave, right? And now public opinion wanted them back and Austin bowed down. And now every other city knew like, we better not require this because it's going to backfire, right?
It was kind of a genius play on their hand. They called bluff and they won.
Yeah, they basically called bluff. They knew their customers would be pissed, but they knew their customers wouldn't be pissed at them. They'd be pissed at the city regulators.
All right, Nick, let's predict the future. 10 years from now, which company will have more vehicles in RoboTaxi? So you think Tesla will have more vehicles in service in 10 years?
What do you think?
Let's see. In a year, I think it's still Waymo, maybe even 2 or 3 years. But like I said, Tesla has that ability to scale faster so they could catch up quicker. And perhaps At that point, there'll be a lot more progress on regulatory. It's going to be like a slow 3, 4, 5 years, and then it's going to blow up, I think.
You know what
And
could happen? Elon could get tired of it and just give up on it if Optimus turns out to be a bigger deal. And he's like, I don't care for RoboTaxis anymore. I know we did all this work, but forget about it. We're focusing on Optimus.
I think this is different. I don't think this is like a Tesla Roadster.
Yeah, when's that coming out?
I think this is different because the other thing that Elon has to manage is that part of his $1 trillion compensation package is tied to him getting 1 million robotaxis on the road.
Yeah.
And then to compare right now, Uber, and I believe this is a global number, has like 8.8 million vehicles on the road. So in 10 years, he's got to get 1 million on the road. Waymo's going to try and compete. Waymo's going to try and have 1 million or more. What might be interesting, though, is there still might be a fair amount of human-operated Uber drivers, especially in remote areas.
Yeah.
Or special use cases. Like, I see a future where each one of these companies' existence are successful.
Yeah.
That's what I'm predicting. Which one will be first place in 10 years? If Tesla is set up better if they achieve this because they are cheaper and they'll be more cheaper. And if they're able to achieve a level of safety and autonomy in level 4 and they're cheaper and can scale better, that's pretty good. But it's a really hard problem to solve right now. And as someone who uses Tesla full self-drive, I've had close calls. I've done road trips where I put it in and I've had close calls with it.
Really?
So
they've been working on it a while.
They really have been. It's not there's no clear winner to me.
Interesting. Yeah.
There's no clear winner. It's going to be a really, really interesting battle over the next 10 years. And we're here for it. All right, Nick, let's wrap. This was fun. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Please, if you're listening, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, show us a little love.
We would love it. It makes a big difference to the channel. We want to talk to you every week. We want to be in your ears every week.
You need to listen to us. You need to hear this. More people did too. So appreciate all the listeners. And as always, Nick, we got to thank our most important listener.
Our robot overlords.
The robot overlords who will undoubtedly take over human existence in the future and listen to this podcast. Thank you, robot overlords. We appreciate you. We were early on this. Just remember. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.